conversation with Pieter Elbers, CEO of Indigo, soon after their numbers have come out for the third quarter. The largest domestic airline in India is looking like it's had a robust quarter. Revenues are up 13.7% at 22,111 crores. EBITDA is up 10.7%. Margins have gone from 28.1% to 27.4%. But net profits are down 18.3% because of a hit on Forex. And that's exactly the first point that I'm going to raise with Pieter Elbers as we start this conversation. Mr. Elbers, thank you so much for your time with us here at NDTV Profit. Pleasure to speak with you on what is a cracker of a quarter, except for what I would say the fly in the ointment, which is the Forex hit of close to 1,500 crores.
Yeah. Well, before we come to the fly, let's start indeed with a very solid quarter when it comes to demand. We've seen the demand in the first half of the year was probably still somewhat muted, but a very strong recovery in this third quarter, which we released today. We welcomed a record number of 31 million customers in just a quarter. For the first time in our history, in the month of November, we welcomed more than 10 million customers in the month. And in December, we touched almost 11 million customers. So that, I think, speaks to the demand. We had like 2 months in a row with load factors more than 90%. So the demand is clearly there, it's clearly back, and that has resulted into a very high number of revenues. And if we park the Forex for a moment, a profit level and an EBITDA level, which is actually very, very good. Then, of course, indeed, the Forex is there. According to some accounting rules, we need to include all future liabilities in this Forex. So you see huge swings because of the Forex there. But the underlying market and the underlying performance of the company really has been very, very strong.
Undoubtedly, if you remove that Forex number, you've hit a very robust profit number. There's no doubt about that. On the operating level, the performance of the company can be seen. Having said that, Mr. Elbers, just want to understand what is the strategy in dealing with the Forex volatility? Is there a hedging mechanism in place? Because this is an unknown and unseen, and all indications point to a strengthening dollar.
Yeah, well, we've seen this in the past and we see it today. Actually, throughout this financial year, the first 2 quarters were rather flattish when it came to FX impact, but really in the last quarter, and more precisely, actually, the last part of the last quarter, we had that. And for the accounting reasons, we have to take the sort of year-end market-to-market rate. We have a couple of strategies in place. One of them clearly is the hedging of dollars. The other one, importantly, and that links to one of the strategic priorities, is to further increase our international footprint. And by more international footprint, obviously, we'll have more foreign currencies as part of our revenue basis. And I must say, we're glad that in this quarter, we have reached a 28% of all our available seat kilometers has moved into international operations. So that really is towards the 30%, which we put out as a sort of objective or target earlier.
Okay, and do you hit that 30% in Q4? Would that be pushed by a possible India-US sort of long-haul sector that you add on? Can you give us any sense there?
Yeah, well, we don't have any long-haul planes, so we fly sectors up to 6 hours. So we have expanded a lot within the region, and we continue to do so. Whether exactly that quarter or somewhere later we'll reach that 30% is not the most important for me. What precise time? I think the direction is very clear. We have announced new international destinations. We will be soon serving 90 domestic and 38 international destinations. And these numbers clearly are helping us to move forward on that path towards internationalization. And with the evolving needs of the Indian consumers and actually a growing desire also for foreigners to come to India for business or personal reasons, we see a growth in that international traffic as a very important part of our strategy.
Sure, but let me come back to that question about the long haul. And of course, you need to get those aircrafts in. Will they be on wet lease? And what is the plan, if any, about adding some of those long haul sectors?
Yeah, well, let me take a step back. If we look to India and we take the international traffic, really, the further you go away from India, the lower the share of Indian airlines is as capturing that part of the traffic. So it's It is still within the certain ranges in the region. When you look to further away, the share of Indian airlines really drops. So with that strategy, we've decided to go for the Airbus 350. We've placed an order of 30 firm, another 70 in options. They will be delivered by the year 27. That's one. Two, by the end of this year, we'll get the Airbus XLR. The Airbus XLR will bring us into significant parts of Europe, further into Asia. So as soon as this calendar year, towards the end of this calendar year, we'll be able to enter more into Europe. Today we fly to Istanbul. That will help us further. Despite these two elements, we still are exploring opportunities to get earlier capacity in, helping us to develop that international network. That's not firm yet. We're working on that, but that's clearly something we're exploring at this point in time, encouraged by all the results we see on our international routes.
Sure. What is also encouraging is I think you have forecast a 20% capacity growth by Q4.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So where is that? Can you explain to us what is giving you that confidence? Are you looking at higher traffic keeping up? Because Q3 is the robust, seasonally great quarter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I must say the Q4 20% is driven to some extent by a Q4 of last year where we had to take a lot of capacity out because of supply chain challenge issues. So what we have guided the market with is a early double-digit capacity growth for the year FY25. So far, we are delivering up to that promise. We had a 12% capacity growth in the quarter three. So a 20% is somewhat inflated probably by a low number of last year. But clearly will continue to grow, and Q4 will have a higher capacity as compared to Q3. So our ambition is to keep growing and to deliver our capacity guidance for the entire year, which is in the early double-digit numbers. Okay,
so if I remove that base effect of Q4 last year because of supply issues, what is the kind of capacity growth that you're seeing in Q4?
I think it is pretty similar to if you were to sort of normalize last year for what we took out, it would be pretty similar to what we have seen in Q3, which was around that range of 12%. So we have a pretty stable sort of picture throughout the year with some variations. You know, quarter over quarter is not the most important. What is the most important for us is that we believe in the long-term growth of the Indian aviation. An early double-digit number is clearly what is our objective, and we're very confident that we'll make that. And the recovery of the demand in the third quarter, and the very strong demand in the third quarter, is in fact further fueling that confidence that our capacity plans are perfectly matching the demand in the Indian market.
I think that's an important point. I'm just going to drill down on that for a bit, because the demand question is one that is being asked of every consumer-facing business right now in the context of the Indian economy. You walk into any airport and you know that there's no lack of demand there. But if you can give us a sense of where that demand's coming from, is it restricted to your key sectors? Is it broadening? Is it deepening?
I think the good part for Indigo is that we serve the entire nation. We are not specified to certain regions or not specified to the metro. We serve the entire nation. The fact that we have 90 destinations and some 450 domestic routes is sort of underlining that. So of course we see strong demand from the metros, but we see equally strong demand from Ahmedabad, from Pune, from a lot of other places in the country itself. So there's not a specific region or a specific area. It's basically growing everywhere. And when it comes to the different types of travelers, it's a bit a similar story. We keep attracting first-time flyers, people who used to go by train from one side of the country to the other and now take plane. And likewise, we have introduced a business class on the metros to metros, and we see a very solid demand on that more corporate or small and medium enterprise driven demand. So there's no shortage of demand, clearly, as you rightfully so say. And I think Indigo is well positioned to put the capacity in the market to keep growing.
I wanted to ask you about Indigo Stretch. I'm glad you brought that up, Pieter. So you're saying the initial demand has been good, giving you enough confidence to expand that service into other sectors?
Very much so. We launched the product in the middle of November on Delhi-Mumbai with just 6 flights a day. By the end of the year, we had all the 40 sectors we operate between Delhi and Mumbai. Basically, we had the product online there. It's been received very, very well by our customers. And that growth, basically, we are very confident that it continues to be there. By now, we have added Delhi Bangalore. Soon we'll be adding Delhi Chennai. And by the year of calendar year 25, we'll have some 45 planes in operation with this new product.
Okay, so Indigo stretch is definitely picking up. Just one last point before I let you go, Peter, maybe a couple of them. One is, what is the kind of delivery schedule you see for aircraft in 2025? You clocked about one aircraft a week in the last calendar year. Do you see that continuing, sustaining?
Yeah, that's, I think, one of the incredible strong foundations for Indigo. We have an order book, which is, I would say, the largest in the world, with over 900 planes still to be delivered. And with that, we're in an incredible strong position to keep having these planes coming in one every week. Of course, there's some variations quarter over quarter, but it's a very strong position we're having.
And just if we can see an outlook you have on yields. You've said, I think, in your conference call that you expect yields to rise in early single digits. Can you give us a little more detail on that?
I think the third quarter has been very strong. And we see a lot of capacity growth. You addressed the 20% year over year. So if we look over a year comparison in yield, we should keep in mind that last year, because of all the capacity which was taken out, there was a sort of pressure on capacity, which in general sort of has some effect on yield as well. So we took a rather cautious approach in giving the yield guidance, as was done in the call. But from all what we have seen now, we're confident in giving that guidance. And we see actually a continuation of the demand situation, which we have seen in Q3.
All right. Thank you so much, Peter, for speaking with us. Pieter Elbers, CEO of Indigo, talking about their third quarter numbers. The market leader has seen a robust quarter. Yes, Forex has been a niggle, and we'll be excited to see how the street views the numbers on Monday. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you so much.